Hello, good evening and warm welcome at the Thinking Palette platform. In this video, I will discuss test 7 that is on ethics. So we will discuss each and every question in a comprehensive way in a couple of slides. So now the very first question is honesty can exist without integrity, but for integrity to exist, honesty is a necessity. Do you agree? Justify your stand with the examples. So first of all, you will have to understand that the honesty can be said as the subset of integrity. It is not a guarantee that if you are honest, you will also be a man of integrity. But it is a guarantee that if you are a man of integrity, you will be the man of honest. For example, in any organization where you are working, there is one superior or boss of yours. So basically, whenever he is directing you for any work, you are following it honestly. Then basically you are honest person. But if the boss is directing something which is malicious or which has the content of any kind of corruption, which has a content of any kind of injustice, which has a content of any kind of unfairness, then basically you are not honest and also you are not a man of integrity. Okay. Then the next thing is that how you can approach this question, because honesty and integrity is often considered as synonyms. But there is a difference between honesty and integrity with respect to their traits. In the terms of honesty, I can say that the person who is open and just in dealing with others. Second is a person who is straightforward in his conduct. And a person who is trustworthy and loyal and fair and sincere. Such kind of person can be said as honest person. But for the integrity, there is another set of criteria which needs to be fulfilled. So when you can say that the person is a man of or a woman of integrity, then you can say that a person who is or who has integrity, first of all, he will choose right to conduct. What should be his conduct, he will choose firstly. And then he will act consistently with respect to that right to conduct. And then he will also openly declare that where he stands. Basically, he will make clear in the public that what is its viewpoint, because he knows that he had chosen the right conduct. So first of all, talk about the trait. Then you can say that therefore integrity is often equated with moral reflection and steadfastness to commitments. First it is moral reflection, then it is steadfastness to the commitment. And then you can say that the person will be the trustworthy at the same time. An honest person can also be trustworthy, but he cannot be trustworthy every time. This is the difference between honesty and integrity. So that you can give the example of integrity and honesty. After that, you can say that integrity cannot exist without you honesty, because integrity involves the honest and frank opinion. It is also the case that integrity can also not exist without honesty, but honesty can exist without integrity. Okay, so basically one has to give the honest and the frank opinion to uphold the public interest, and therefore he will make the full disclosure of information. He will not hide anything, because he knows that where he stands, that stand is basically reflecting his right conduct. So basically these things can be added in answer, but you will have to give examples from your life. Therefore, I am not addressing this part, that is justify your stand with the examples. Here you can give the example of your lifetime. Now the next question is value of compassion towards the weak extends the limit of operation of a public servant by introducing flexibility, but dilutes the principle of objectivity. Now, in the 21st century, we cannot deny the fact that we need compassionate bureaucrat. And Whenever the bureaucrat is compassionate, therefore it may be the chance that he has bypassed any law and regulation so that the benefit of any particular scheme can reach to the person who cannot be included into that scheme if he will have to follow the rule. So basically, if someone is following the rule, then he will take the decision objectively. But obviously, when the bureaucrat is taking compassion into the account, then there is a chance and there will be certain degree of subjectivity. And it is being said that when there is an element of subjectivity, then there is or there may be an element of partiality. There may be the element of unfairness. But the bureaucrat who is compassionate will go for the subjectivity only when he is of the view that it will benefit to the person who is in the need. For example, natural disaster has happened in any part of the country, and the beneficiaries, according to the government rules and regulation, beneficiaries of this program can be certain sections of the society only. But for example, if the bureaucrat thinks that no, another sections should also be included because they were also hit by natural disaster equally, then he is right in his approach, but he is diluting the principle of objectivity. So now the question arises, and you can also give the example of PDS, ओके, एंड अंत्योदय अन्न योजना. तो अब देखो, अंत्योदय अन्न योजना में एक सिंपल फंडा है कि आपको किसको देना है. बट इफ यू थिंक दैट नो, अंडर द अंत्योदय योजना द फूड ग्रेन्स शुड बी प्रोवाइडेड टू विडो ऑल्सो, disabled also. For example, if you think, then according to the compassionate bureaucracy, you can go for that, but in that condition, you are diluting the principle of objectivity. So you can also give, or you should give such kind of examples from the governance and highlighting it from the ethical perspective. Then the next part of the question, that if there is a conflict, obviously there will be the conflict if you are going for the compassion, because objectivity is considered as based on merit and fairness. So then if you are going for any kind of subjectivity, then the other person can raise the question on the merit and fairness of your decision. But you think that no, I am doing it out of the compassion, therefore it is good. So now the question is, if there is a conflict, then how you will deal with that? If there is any kind of conflict, then first of all, you will invoke your conscience, because your conscience is the best guide to answer you when there is an ethical dilemma. Then you can talk about that I will go for the compassion, keeping in mind that it is not detrimental to the interest of the public, detrimental to the interest or the larger interest of the public. Then you will also ensure that the deviation from the law should be as less as possible, should be as less as possible. Understood? And the next thing which you can do here is, you can also talk about that learning from the experience, because if you have the 10 years of experience in the service, then this kind of conditions have emerged numerous times in your life. However, when you are in the early age of your service, if you don't have experience, then you can ask to your seniors also. It is not that if you are asking anything to the senior, then you don't know and you don't know how to manage the conflict. It is not the case. So don't take it as a matter of ego. Now, this question, that is, ethical quality of a civil servant come handy in the times of crisis. Elucidate by using the example of natural disaster. If I would have not used the word natural disaster, then this question will be open-ended, and in the terms of crisis, you can talk about its role during political crisis. You can talk its role around riots and demonstration. Then you can talk about his role in the national security crisis. Then you can open-ended your answer, but I have limited the answer that you will have to give answer in the terms of natural disaster. The very first thing you will have to highlight that the core values or the ethical qualities of the civil servant you will have to highlight first. So basically, what is the core civil service value? Everyone knows. It is very simple. If you don't know, then you can hilasu. You can remember like this. Otherwise, you can talk about that honesty, integrity, leadership, accountability, selfishness, objectivity, this openness. These are the things which can be or which is the core value of the civil servant. And then you can talk about natural disaster, and you can divide your answer that natural disaster and the role of the civil servant can be divided into three phases. That what should be his role during the pre-disaster, during the post-disaster, and during disaster. For example, ethical qualities of the civil servant, that how he is using the fund which has been given to him so that the infrastructure should be strengthened, and in the case of natural disaster there should be less disaster, or there should be as less as disaster effect should be. So basically during the pre you can think that how he is managing the public fund, and how if he has a leadership quality then he will go for the creation of asset as per or according to the Hyogo declaration. And you can mention the some points from the disaster also here. Don't think that it is only ethics paper. It is because you are the student, from the general perspective you are writing answer. Obviously there should be an ethical concern, but ethical and governance is both interrelated. It is because you are going for the governance in the country, you are going for becoming the administrator. So basically you can use those points also here. Then during disaster, you will have to look into that during disaster, again the leadership quality will play an important role here. That whether as a leader you are in the position to use the technology or not. Then for example, you can talk about during the Kashmir floods, during the Uttarakhand floods, how the technology has been used by the bureaucrat. So basically it depends upon that whether he is open to the new ideas or not, whether he has a leadership quality or not, and whether he is efficient and effective leader or not, or efficient and effective bureaucrat or not. Next is post-disaster. This is the phase of reconstruction. Here the government will provide in numerous kinds of aids, and the aids and the benefits which is being forwarded by the government must be distributed on the basis of equity and fairness. Here he should show that he is impartial in his approach. He will not do any kind of partiality with the people in the terms of allocation of the resources. These are the things, whenever you are writing the answer, you should try to use the ethical word. For example, here you are using the leadership, then here you can use the word responsiveness and the openness. During the post-disaster, you can talk about his integrity. So basically, this type of question should be handled like this. Now, coming to this question number 4, that is differentiate between persuasion and social influence. First of all, you will have to understand that social influence is a broad term. And under the social influence, persuasion is one part, second part is conformity, and the third part is obedience. These are the three elements of the social influence. First of all, you should keep this in mind. If you have this in your mind, then it will be easy for you to differentiate between persuasion and social influence. Then you can say that the social influence. What is social influence? Basically, you are making an effort to change the attitude and behavior of the agent. Attitude and behavior of agent. Agent here means the person on which you are applying the social influence. Then you can say that persuasion is aimed at changing the person's attitude towards some event by writing something or by speaking something. Whenever you are telling something, then you are hitting the emotion of that person. Whenever you are writing anything, then you are hitting the mind of that person. And here you can use the example of a smoker. that who smokes cigarette. Then you can write it down that on the packet or on the cover of the cigarette, it is clearly written just to persuade them. And whenever you visit to any movie, then मुकेश कुमार आ जाते हैं ना, जिनको बहुत प्रॉब्लम है लेकिन पीना छूटता नहीं है उनका. So then you can say that the audio and the audio-visual method will also help in the kind of persuasion, or audio-visual method is a kind of social influence and is a part of persuasion, where you are basically what you are doing, you are conveying information. And why you are conveying information? It is for reasoning, hitting the mind. It is for feeling, hitting the heart. So these are the things which you can mention here in your answer. So now we have talked about the very first part, that the difference between the social influence and persuasion. Now the second part is, how can the persuasion be made effective? So basically you will have to make your persuasion effective. So very first thing that you will have to focus upon, that what kind of message are you delivering, or who is delivering the message. For example, if I have any wrong habit, okay, and if my friend will tell, then there is chance that I will not obey him. But if my father will say, then there is a high chance that I will bring an improvement in me. But if I like someone and if he or she will say, then there is 100% chance that I will abide by that. Understood? So basically the person who is delivering or who is going for persuasion, it is very important. And the next thing you can here write it down, that message should be designed in the way that they should not appear to be directed at changing attitude. As a cue, for example, I am an agent whose behavior needs to be changed, but whenever you will tell, whenever you will try to persuade me, every time with the same thing, every time with the mood of taunting, then it will give me an impression that you don't want to change my attitude, you are basically taunting me. So deliver message should be designed in this way that it should not look like that. Okay, then you can say that the persuasion should be very attractive. That, for example, advertisement is the best way for the persuasion, and here you can give the example of Swachh Bharat Mission. Why in Swachh Bharat Mission we have called Vidya Balan and Amitabh Bachchan? क्योंकि इनका बात सुनता है दुनिया, अपने पापा का नहीं सुनेगा लेकिन इनका सुनेगा. Okay, so then you can mention here that advertisement is very important. Then example of persuasion from your life. Here again you need to give certain example. Just I am giving one very simple example for my younger brother. My younger brother is not good in study and he does not want to study, for example. Then I know that the outcome of this, that he will fail in the examination. But even failing in the examination is the fact which he also knows. Then how I will persuade him? I will say that okay, पढ़ोगे नहीं, then summer trip will be cancelled. पढ़ोगे नहीं, then तुम्हारे friends तुमसे दूर हो जाएंगे. पढ़ोगे नहीं, then you will not get good wife. So basically you will have to persuade him which basically hits his mind and his heart. So these are the things which can be mentioned in this question. Now the next question is that distinguish between code of ethics and the code of conduct with suitable example. This is very simple question. Then you can write it down that the code of ethics and the code of conduct, the end of both this code is same. What is this? That is to encourage the specific form of behavior. A specific form of behavior in line with the philosophy of the organization. For example, MP Code of Conduct. Code of Conduct बना दो कि पार्लियामेंट में वो सैंडल और शूज फेंका एक दूसरे पे ना फेंके. एटलीस्ट इतना तो एटलीस्ट उनसे एक्सपेक्टेड है. तो कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट शुड बी लाइक दैट इट शुड कन्फर्म टू द फिलॉसफी ऑफ द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. लोकसभा स्लीपर्स चलाने के लिए नहीं बने हैं, लोकसभा लॉ बनाने के लिए बने हैं. तो देयर शुड बी सर्टेन काइंड ऑफ कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट. बेसिक एम इज दैट a specific form of behavior is being asked. So now I can also give certain example that it will be very easy for you to understand. Code of ethics. If I actually this example I have written in the UPSC examination. I am working in environment or any organization which is looking for environment. Then code of ethics for that environment will be that we will have to live in harmony with nature. This is the code of ethics. But how we will live in harmony with the nature? For that we should not go for the deforestation. For that, we should not go for the soil erosion. For that, we should not go for the loss of biodiversity. We should not go for the illegal trade. So this is the difference or the crux between the code of ethics and code of conduct. Now, I will also specifically go into the difference because the question is specifically asking about that. So in such kind of question, what you can do, you can use the table form. So in code of ethics, you can simply write that it is the ethical values and the ideals of organization. And it is that do's and do nots, that how to achieve those ideals. Then you can say code of ethics is very narrow in the nature because basically it is highlighting the principles only and it is wide in the nature. Then you can say that they are non-specific and they are specific in nature. Then you can say that a code of conduct may be, ऐसा हो सकता है कि a particular rule in the code of ethics might state that all employees will obey the law. कोड ऑफ एथिक्स में हो सकता है इस तरीके, लेकिन कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में बहुत सारे स्पेसिफिक लॉ हैं जो कि रेलेवेंट रहेंगे स्पेसिफिक एरिया के से, दैट एम्प्लॉयज नीड टू ओबे. ओके, अब देखो ये है कि आपको मानना चाहिए, एम्प्लॉयज नीड टू ओबे. ओके, जरूरत है, आप मानोगे नहीं तो कोई फायदा नहीं है. ये है विल ओबे द लॉ. किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के फिलॉसफी के अगेंस्ट नहीं जा सकते हो आप. ओके, तो दिस कैन बी मेंशन हियर एंड एग्जांपल तो मैंने दे ही दिया तुम्हें, लेकिन चलो फिर भी एक एग्जांपल और दे देते हैं तुम्हें. Okay, one example I should give here, but you can also give the example of environment wala. Now, you can say that the code of ethics for the civil servant. Then here you can write that commitment to the public service, it is the code of ethics. But how you can be committed to the public service? For this you can say that I will not accept gift. If you will not accept gift, then you will not be biased for any corporates or corporators or contractor. And if you are not biased to the corporator and contractor, then only you can give your 100% commitment to the public service. Now the next question, what is the difference between morality and legality? As an officer, you will come across the situation where one might conflict with the other. So in this question, first of all, you will have to understand that morality and legality. Legality is a fixed framework or objective thing, and morality is a subjective thing. Because moral of yours may be different from moral of mine. Because my morality is shaped by my family values. My morality is shaped by my values in the school. My morality is shaped by the society in which I grew. My morality is being shaped by the friends which I have. Okay, क्रिमिनल के फ्रेंड क्रिमिनल ही रहेंगे. ओके, और उनके लिए मोरालिटी है कि किसी का हत्या कर दो, ने कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. ओके, दिस इज देयर मोरालिटी, बट आवर्स मोरालिटी इज नॉट लाइक दैट. First of all, the difference between morality and legality is this. Here also you can give the example of Hitler. The person or the officers working under the Hitler were not against the law. They are just following the law that to bring the atrocities against the Jews. But they were not moral in their approach, because atrocities against any person cannot be justified and cannot be looked from the perspective of morality. Okay, for example, capital punishment. The law says that the capital punishment will go on, but it may be the case that your morality does not support capital punishment. Then As an officer, you will not go for the capital punishment. You will have to go for the capital punishment. You cannot say that my morality does not allow, because the law allows. Okay. And the next part is, as an officer, you will come across the situation where one might conflict with the other. Here you can give the example. Okay, here what happens, for example, A and B both are IPS and they have nabbed one criminal. Based on the morality of the A, he may ask for, or he may go for encounter the criminal, because he thinks that such kind of person is a termite for the society. He is also not wrong. He is guided by his morality, and he is also not illegal if he is following the law for the encounter. It may be the case that when they went to nab the criminal, he has opened the fire. Then he has also the right to defense and he has opened the fire. But B, his morality says that no, I cannot kill the people. अरे नहीं मार सकते हो तो IPS मत बनो. Okay, I cannot kill the people. Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, if he cannot kill the criminal, or if he cannot encounter the criminal, it is because of his morality. His morality says that law will take the recourse. Both are correct at their place. The only thing with A is that he should follow the law for the encounter. Encounter is not illegal, but the fake encounter is not only illegal, it is inhumane also. Okay. So now the next question is how you will resolve. Again, you will resolve by using your conscience. You will resolve by taking the help of the senior. You will resolve by using your experience. You will resolve by keeping into the mind that whether the justice will be served or not. So these are the things which can be mentioned here, depending upon the predisposition. So basically you will have to understand that the disposition simply means that what is your mind and how you are behaving with that mindset. It is all about the keeping the right framework of the mind whenever you are going through any kind of misery, and the same will be applicable for the happiness. And the best example can be in today's time is COVID. The COVID has resulted a lot of economic loss, not only for the businessman but also for the migrants, but also for the common people. So basically there is only one option left with such kind of people, that whether they should go in the misery and should go in the depression, or they should make the positive mindset that it is going with all the persons of the classes, so it is not only with me. So basically when you have the positive mindset, then you can say that it is your misery and the happiness is being decided by your mind. However, sometimes it depends upon the circumstances also. For example, if there is a loss of the family member, or if there is a loss of parents, okay, then can you say that this is your mindset, that how you will go with the loss of the parents? I think that this is about the circumstances, that at that circumstances there is nothing to console you and you will feel sad. Undoubtedly you will feel sad. But again, yes, obviously if you have the positive mindset, and you can, if you are a spiritual mindset, then you can think of जिसको आना है वो तो जाएगा ही, जो आया है वो जाएगा. So that is another thing. But yes, sometimes it depends on the circumstances also. And just I can give the example from your lifetime also. You can give example. For example, if you have not cleared your prelims examination, then two conditions arises. For example, if you will go by the circumstances, then you may feel that okay, I have not cleared prelims, so maybe that I am not prepared or I am not made for the UPSC examination. But if you have the certain positive mindset, then you will think that okay, this is the time that I missed the prelims for the one marks. Maybe in the next exam or the next prelims, if I go for the hard work, if I go for the consistency, obviously I will achieve my goal. So basically this question has an essence of happiness or misery defining by the disposition and circumstances. So in this condition, I will say that the best example to use is COVID. So you can give the argument that sometimes it depends upon the circumstances, but obviously it cannot be denied that the dispositions or the positive mindset will help us in tackling any misery, and same with the happiness. Basically, happiness also is the state of the mind. If you feel that if you are very sad, but if you have a very positive mindset, and then you can feel happy in the sadness also. So it is something of a spiritual mindset, or the person who are doing yoga, you can also mention all this, that how do you deal with such kind of a state of mind. This can be mentioned also here. So now coming to the next question, that in your opinion, what it takes to be ethical both in private and public relationship. So first of all, you will have to understand that whether do you think that there are two values, one value to be maintained in the private life, one value to be maintained in the public life. However, some of the scholars, like for example Mahatma Gandhi, does not think that the private and public relation is very different. If you are punctual, if you are loyal, if you are loving person, if you are responsive in your personal life, then also you will be responsive and loyal in your public life. It is not that if you are dishonest in your public life, you will be honest in your private life. So I think that public and private relationship are the sides of the same coin. So basically, whatever the values which you carry in your private life is the same value which you follow in your public life. However, I am agree to the fact that a there is some kind of overlapping, and there is certain kind of separation between the values to be obeyed in the private and the public life. For example, obedience. The same kind of obedience you cannot show to your mother, the same kind of obedience you cannot show to your wife, or to your husband, or to your boyfriends, or to your girlfriends. And the same kind of obedience cannot be shown to your superior. For example, if your superior in your public life is giving you any direction to follow, then you will have to follow, and you will deny only when there is certain kind of clashes with your morality. However, at the home place, you will find that whatever the directions which is given by your mother or by your father, do you follow that so religiously that you follow in your public life? Obviously no, but that is the another thing. What I think, that the public relation involve the relation between the individual in the public sphere, and the same value to be followed in the public and private life if you don't want any kind of conflict in your life. Otherwise, every time there will be a certain kind of conflict. Understood? So now we will look into that what it takes to be ethical both in private and public life. So first of all, you should talk about that the governing factors for the ethics in private relation is the human values. Obviously, the humanity is the value which you will follow in both public and the private life. And but in the private life, you will find that you are focusing more on the social norms, okay, and your religious value. And this social norms and the religious value is the thing which is not applicable in your public relationship. Okay, so that's why I was talking about that there is certain kind of overlapping and certain kind of separation between the public and the private relationship. So in public and private relationship, in both the kind of relationship, trust is an important factor. For example, if you will not trust to your government, if you will not trust to the machinery of the government, then how you can be the part of the government? Obviously not. So if you don't trust your family members, then how the bond can be created in the family members? Otherwise, if you don't have trust, then you will lose your family relation and also the public relation. Okay. Now you can say that the private relation demand individual responsibilities towards the role played in the private life. For example, if you are in the private life, you will have to play the role of father, you will have to play the role of mother, brother, husband. You have a very different kinds of role to be played. However, in the public relationship, you will follow only one kind of relation, that is of officer or subordinate, whatever the post you have. Okay. Next is public servants play a conflicting role due to the conflict in the public and private life and conflict between the ethics in both the relation. देखो, जब भी तुम्हारा conflict होगा public में और प्राइवेट रिलेशनशिप में तो पता है क्या होगा, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल डिजोनेंस तुम्हारे माइंड में क्रिएट होगा, फ्रस्ट्रेशन आएगा तुम्हारे माइंड में, डिजोनेंस के बाद फ्रस्ट्रेशन आ जाएगा, देन इट विल बी कंफ्यूजन, it will lead to confusion, and whenever you are confused you cannot take the quality decision making, you cannot make at that time. So this is the thing which you can mention, what it takes to be ethical, you can mention all this. And next is, what are the challenges faced by, what are the challenges one's faced when he is in the public life? So there are different kinds of challenges in the public life. If I will have to talk about the very first challenge in the public life is whenever there is a conflict between your morals and values with the law. This is the first challenge which we are going to follow, that is called ethical dilemma. Next problem which you will face in your public life is discretion. There is a lot of discretion, but you will have to follow the discretion so that it should not bring any kind of problem or conflict for the others. The another problem with the public life, you may face the nepotism problem or challenges of the nepotism. It may be the case that you are an IAS officer and I am your friend. I may call to you and will say that please help me in this, please help me in that. So it will be very difficult for you to basically tell me directly that no, it cannot be done. However, it should be done very directly. But yes, people face problem in such kind of situation. Obviously, people will face problem. Then other challenges in the public life stem from the social responsibilities or from relationship issues with the news media, a client, colleagues, and stakeholders. For example, if you are honest, if you are honest person, then you will face the challenge with your colleagues who are dishonest. They will always try to bully you out. And also there is the problem, for example, if you are not maintaining your public relationship very efficiently, then you will find that there is a repercussion in the private life also. मान लो कि बॉस ने कुछ कह दिया और तुम्हारे अंदर इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस नहीं है, तो इट विल इम्पैक्ट द प्राइवेट लाइफ ऑल्सो. So these are the challenges one faces while trying to stay ethical in the public life. Also, you will face that someone will call you for the corruption, but your moral or your morality does not allow you for the corruption. So it is one kind of challenges. For example, superior will start trying to transfer you and will remove you from that particular department. So this kind of challenges is always in the life of bureaucrat. Now the next question is, courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage you cannot practice any other virtue consistently. So basically it is being said, or if I talk about the courage, you will associate this word courage with physical or bravery. But this is not only about the courage means that you are physically very fit and therefore you can do anything. But courage simply means that whether you have the moral courage or not, whether you have the courage to take the decisions or not, whether you have a courage to commitment or not. For example, if I make any promise, if I have the courage to make the promise successful, if I don't have courage to make the promise successful, then I don't have right to make any kind of promise. Likewise, if you have not courage, then you cannot stand on your thoughts and deeds. So basically you cannot follow the integrity. So likewise, courage is also about the financial courage. So basically if you are not, financial courage here simply means that if you are borrowing the money from any person, then you must have courage to receive his phone when he makes a call to you and asking about to return the money. But if you don't have courage, then you will not receive his call. So basically, courage is not only about the bravery, it is about the moral courage, courage in the respect of taking decision. And also courage is not only about the civil servant, it is also about that wherever you are working, if you want to have the leadership quality, leadership always means that he or she, the person who is a leader, must have courage to take the decision, no matter, or you can say it is not the courage does not mean that without thinking you are taking the decision, but courage simply means that you are taking the decision and making the decisions right. This is called the courage. Even in the case of innovation, someone is working in the scientific community, then also for the innovation courage is required. जैसे मान लो कि अभी कोविड में वैक्सीन बना रहे हैं, सबको पता है कि वैक्सीन फेल होगा फर्स्ट ट्रायल में, सेकंड ट्रायल में, उसके बाद भी वो करेज है इसलिए वो बना पा रहे हैं। अगर उनके अंदर करेज नहीं होता तो वो वैक्सीन भी नहीं बना पाते। तो यही रीज़न है, दिस इज द रीज़न that the courage is being said as the most important virtue. You can quote the certain examples from Mahabharata, Rama, and also it's up to you that how you are making this answer very interesting one. It is because in ethics it is not about putting the content, it is about putting the content in the right direction, covering the ethical perspective of that particular. Now this question says that many of the present social conflicts arise due to prejudice and discrimination. Illustrate. First of all, you will have to understand that what is the social conflict. Social conflict about discrimination based on the caste. Social conflict is about discrimination based on the religion. You can also mention the mob lynching is also one kind of social conflict, and the reason for is this prejudice. Now we will locate that how the prejudice leads to the social conflict. For example, prejudice simply means that you are a negative stereotyping. You have certain kind of predisposition in your mind with respect to any specific group. And whenever you have the negative mindset with any specific group, then it will result obviously into certain kind of discrimination. And when it is resulting into discrimination, there will be a certain kind of retaliation from your side. And when there is a retaliation, there will be a counter retaliation also. And that is resulting into the social conflict. Now, by mentioning this, you are basically talking about the first part, and the first part gets addressed. And here you can give the example of Hitler, that history contains the numerous example of discrimination, and the one of the example is genocide committed by the Nazis in Germany. And then you can talk about that what's going in our society. Now the next part of the question is what can be done to curb the discrimination. So now we will have to look into that the suggestions which is required to check the certain kind of prejudice. So now what we can do here is that you can say that the education and the information dissemination, you will have to give the education and make the people aware so that they should become tolerant to the other specific groups. Then you can talk about that we will have to focus on increasing the intergroup connect and contact, because it will allow for direct communication. And when you will communicate with the people, then you will know that it is not then you will understand that what is their viewpoint rather than getting prejudiced with their viewpoint. And then you can talk about that we should highlight the individual identity rather than group identity. Individual identity rather than group identity, and thus weakening the importance of the group. It is the basis of evaluating the person. What we are doing today is we are not evaluating the person, we are evaluating the community from which the person is coming, and this is the crux, or this is the reason of the problem. So basically we will have to discourage the tendency towards the negative behavior, and for that we will have to focus upon changing our mindsets. So this is all about the discussion for the ethics paper 7, and the next video will be uploaded soon on the test 8, that is also of ethics.